maybe he'll be back. Brian Pitts.
Thank you very much. Good night. Good night. Okay. Brian Pitts, Justice Jesus. Privileged to be here for you once again. One thing you may want to consider is, though you are of your districts, understand that you actually are the example to the other delegations since you sit in the Capitol itself. So this is a different kind of perspective you may want to think about when you're setting an example to other colleagues, like other House representatives and senators. You sit at the Capitol. So things you do, obviously, you need to think about what should stand out more than your Orlando and Hillsborough delegations. You know, because many talk about them, they're much bigger than you are and things like that. But that's irrelevant. You're at the Capitol and in the county of the Capitol. So making things work, usually through you, should work easier than, say, Miami-Dade delegation or other delegations. Not that they're lesser important, but again, you start at the head, and usually you can get down from there. So I'll bring you some concerns, some that I brought you before. When you're dealing with transparency, and as you know, citizens become more wiser, they need to know what they can come to you for. Your staff, things like that. So the Constitution 1968 was changed, and it required that state, county, and local officers, state and local officers, that their powers, duties, salaries, and compensation, and method thereof, be fixed by law. Article 2, Section 5C. That has never been done. The closest legislators have gotten to it, yourselves, is Florida Statute 11.13. Problem is there are no powers and duties in there. And the last time you did your salaries is when you were paid $18,000 a year, which we know now that's around $29,000. And the president and the speaker were getting $25,000 a year, which we know now that's actually around $41,000. Now, average citizen won't have a clue about that and won't know anything about that. You have to search for that either through media, or if you know who EDR is, you could get that information from them. That should not be the case. It should be in statute, because by Constitution, that would be part of your oath. You remember to protect, uphold, and defend the Constitution of the federal and, of course, the state, in this case, Florida. Well, our Article 2, Section 5C says fixed by law. So 11.13, Florida statute, needs to be changed to have your powers and duties and your real salaries. So citizens can go to the statute, but again, it's not an issue of arguing. It's in the Constitution. Now, I'll say this on this standpoint. As you know, the governor is being pursued because he has not picked a new lieutenant governor. That is a duty. No one has thought about this, but it could be done. Do you want the court to make you do 11.13, cite your powers and duties? Because remember, they are the custodians of the Constitution. All writs petition or quo warranto. If someone got mad enough, what would you do? Fulfill the oath. Please do what the Constitution says on that so citizens can know. And here's an example of what I mean by know. If a citizen said, what do I go to a legislative delegation for? What are you going to answer them on? Now, that would be one of your powers and duties. See, I'm saying I'm guess because it's not stated. So by law, where is legislative delegations? If that's one of your powers or duties, it's not in law. The Constitution. So I'm looking in the. Okay, is it in the Constitution? No. Okay, is it in the statute somewhere? Well, is that one of your powers and duties or not? By law. By law. It's not in the rules. But what citizen would look in the rules anyway? So I'm saying, try to fix that, please. Please. I mean, it's a Constitution. That's what you keep stressing it. It's the Constitution. Always talking about transparency and citizens need. Another issue, education. You may want to consider taking liberal arts and putting it in high school. because colleges now can't seem to figure out what to use that for, because nowadays, for good competition, it's being pretty much kicked to the curb. So put it in somewhere from 1 through 12. Can you take those courses out of college and throw them in high school and replace it with things you don't need? Florida Statute 1003, what is it? You know, the required instruction statute. 1003.42, it's a required instruction statute. You need to repeal several of those things that are not used anymore. Put in there probably liberal arts curriculum in high school. And let's get to some other stuff. Home economics, bring that back. Life skills, real life skills, because they're piecemealing it in some places. Put all this in high school, so when they get to college, they already think tanks. They already got their lives together, because with home economics, their life and career is already in order. With liberal arts, their minds are already broadened coming out of high school. Fine, take it out of college. The point is, liberal arts still needs to be used somewhere. It's information you still need. If the colleges can't use it, put it in the high school. This is why you keep beating on that issue. That's because it is that important. We can't get rid of it because colleges can't use it. Changes have occurred. And then the colleges can replace that with something else that can be used, which those industries are coming. You did do, and citizens can't thank you, you did do the CAPE. That's a start, because that was the vocational tech component that the boomers used to have, which helped many boomers today to where they are today. But, as again, I mentioned, home economics, liberal arts, world religions. Put that in high school. Colleges really can't use that either. Civics, so they know how to dialogue and deal with you and lawmakers and employees. That's what civics is about. Citizens don't have a clue. Many of them just going to work with it. They need to know how they can rapport with you. Put these things in high school. Now, that's education issues. That's education. You got another problem. You got consumer protection issues. And you're going to have to talk to the chamber, business chamber about, not business chamber, but Chamber of Commerce about this. We had it with the Black Fridays. Let me give you an example. We didn't watch for the school shootings. Look what has happened. What you think coming next? Continue to let these Black Fridays go like they are? You're going to have the equivalent of the concept of the school shootings. Because they're already doing it now. You need to talk to the chamber. Not only that, when Apple has their releases, people camping out for days, it's got to stop. That's a health issue. That's a safety issue. Again, all this is consumer protection, because it's around the idolatry of buying this purchased item where you're letting now free enterprise go too far. They're not being checked. There's nothing wrong with free enterprise, but when they start going too far, that's when you're supposed to get involved. So that's not Black Friday, when Apple brings out its new phone and people are lined outside, or closeout sales with people. Okay, that's along with other things. Unfair and deceptive trade practices is the concept what we're dealing with here. Because remember, when they get there, some of those people are not going to get those items. But that's not the point. Switch and bait, whatever you want to call it. You need to talk to the chamber, and there needs to be some law changes to put a grip on this. Now, not only that, it goes local. When they have these situations like this in Black Fridays, don't you know they're violating ordinances? Remember, to every place there's a capacity limit. I guess Walmart don't care about that on those days. Target don't care about that on those days. Remember, fire code violations, in every building there's a limit how many can be in there at one time. And remember, even across the street, what would the sergeant arms do? When they get too packed, one has to come out, another goes in. Well, we have those laws and ordinances and a state law, so why, and see this what I'm saying, y'all haven't watched it. Why is Walmart on 1 or 2 days violating fire code and capacity laws? And we let them doing it. You see where I'm going? As you can see other things that they're violating on these special sales or whatever occasions. Where it's, well, that's the people fault. No. Advertisement, you can manipulate someone to such a point they become hypnotized, like people are hypnotized by iPhones. Okay, now here's the other issue, also how far. This can go federal, but it doesn't. You're not going to bunk federal by saying Florida being an example of changes. Here's another example I want to talk about where you let them go too far. Microsoft. One of the biggest things occurred. This is an unfair deceptive trade practice. When they brought out Vista, they had a problem and tried to clear it up with Win 7. What did they do? Brought out 8 and now shifted the problem again to the consumer by saying, oh, you need to do upgrade 8.1. That's deceptive. You gave me a lemon, then shifted it to the consumer. Again, this don't have to be only a federal issue. You, under unfair deceptive trade practices, technically Microsoft owes everyone who bought an 8.7 machine, an 8.1 machine for free. That's their problem that they tried to fix, and they did it a second time on the consumer. Now, you can understand what I'm talking about. You need to deal with some laws to deal with. I understand you're going to have to talk to the chamber, but this is serious. This is a sum total of several things, not watching big business or commerce, that has occurred. That's consumer protection. That's consumer protection. All the laws that they violated. So the improprieties, the deception, the switch and all that. Lastly, the judiciary. Citizens don't know enough about the judiciary. Y'all cannot not keep dealing with it. You need a joint resolution. Ethics issues. Lawyers having problems with them. Lawyer regulation. You need a joint resolution for transparency in the judiciary, the J2C. The citizens don't have a clue really about their judges or what they really can do. And here's an example of when they're talking about them upholding the Constitution. Oh, by the way, their powers and duties and compensation as fixed by law is not cited anywhere either. And guess whose job that would be? Y'all would have to do that in statute. That's not even stated. I'll give you his last point where I'll give you an example with the judiciary. If you know what a PCA is, per curiam affirmed opinion, it is claimed or assumed that they're following law. We don't know that they're following law. Remember, it's a rubber-stamped order, all 3 judges' names on it, and it comes back. They do thousands of them a year. The written opinions you do get, that's nice. But what about the other 1,000 cases? And here's the point, We do not know if they're protecting, upholding the Constitution by doing PCA opinions. We don't have a clue. No transparency. So again, I'm saying to you, you need to do a joint resolution of Article 5. Somehow, the citizens know what this judiciary is. Thank you much, and good day.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Always good to see you.